What's up everybody, Steven here with Neural DSP. And today I'm gonna run you through the bass tones that I used during the Artist Tones cover of Meshuggah. As you guys probably noticed, I did things a little bit differently this time, and let me know in the comments if you liked having the top 5 aspect where you guys get to vote on which tracks I cover. If this is a type of content that you wanna see more often, go ahead and let me know in the comments below. I always love having your guys' feedback. All right, with all that being said, let's go ahead and dig into it. So let's go ahead and start with the DI. I went with the Submission Audio Eurobass 2 on the DI preset. And then I went to an instance of Pro Q3 so that way I could shape the DI before I got to any of my other plugins. Now I have an additional plugin here, but this one was actually implemented after I got the majority of the tone figured out. So I'm gonna come back to this one. Now as usual, I ended up splitting up my bass between 2 bass buses to combine the best of a couple of different plugins to create this tone. The first bus we're gonna listen to has the parallax on it. And you'll see that I left the mid and the high bands on. And when we listen to this bus, it sounds like this. Now let's listen to the top end, and I actually went with the Archetype Cory Wong, and this is what this sounds like by itself. Now let's go over how I got them to mash together. I chose the Archetype Cory Wong because it had a particular mid-range kind of openness that I really wanted to have that would complement the guitars. So to give a quick rundown of the Archetype Cory Wong settings that I used, I went with the 4th position compressor, a little bit higher blend, backed off the volume and the compression a little bit. I used the tuber, which is actually where I'm getting a lot of the saturation and drive from. And then I went with the 3rd head, which is the amp snob. You'll see that I did a little bit of tweaking with the EQ, and then the 2nd cabinet with 2 dynamic 57s for the impulse responses. I'll go ahead and play the signal with the tuber on and off so you can hear the difference. So you can see with the amp snob's drive switch up with the tuber, you can get a lot of saturation out of this amp. So with the high pass activated, this is what it sounds like to mix the Archetype Cory Wong for the top end and parallax with the bottom, mid, and high bands activated. Now to my ear, there's a lot of like chirping sounds going on, so that's where this last Pro Q3 on the bass DI comes in. It has a pretty solid dip at about 3,500 hertz. And then I threw that in again at the top end here. And then I did some EQ shaping on the parallax bus so that way I could get the kind of more metallic parallax sounds to fit within the more organic Cory Wong saturation type that I was going for. And you can hear when I turn off the mid and the high distortion, it's a subtle change, but it does add a little bit of extra grit to the signal that I want to have. And then on my top end bus, I have the Pawn Shop compressor, which this thing's pretty awesome. Here's what it sounds like. So to my ear, the compressor is just making that top end a little bit more aggressive, as the preset would suggest, and getting it a little bit more in your face. Then finally, on my bass group bus, I have a Pro Q3 in which I'm kind of just doing a little bit of surgical moves. I have my track spacers, and that's pretty much it for the bass. Now, because not all of the tracks are on the same album, I actually mix these a little bit differently by automating the lanes with volume changes. So that way I can make my parallax a little bit lower in that first Obscene track, and then the top end gets a little quieter with New Millennium Cyanide Christ, and then from Do Not Look Down onward, it's a little bit quieter still. So the difference can be sort of summed up between Obscene and Bleed like this. So even just automating that top bus down a little bit can kind of round out the sound of your bass DIs. And that's how I dialed in the bass for the Artist Tones Meshuggah top 5 tracks. Thanks for checking out this video. Links to download the presets used in this video will be in a link down below. And while you're there, please leave a like, share, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon for notifications on when we upload new content to this channel. And as always, I'll see you in the next video.